Yep, so I didn't even take notes for this one. So I had the opportunity to get Split Fiction and play it with my 9-year-old daughter this weekend, and it was a blast. I had so much of a blast, in fact, that I normally take notes and I didn't this time. But there are three things that I really like about Split Fiction. So this is not my first time playing games from the studio. I've also played A Way Out and a little bit of It Takes Two. I couldn't finish It Takes Two because, of the marital drama that goes on. I didn't want to traumatize my kids. They were a bit too young. But I did finish A Way Out with my best friend, and that was amazing. That was a good experience. And Split Fiction looks to be the same. So up tops, the first thing that I really like about the visuals in Split Fiction is actually the cleanness. And I understand that this is not a AAA studio. It's a smaller studio. It's not like Sony Santa Monica or Rockstar or Bethesda, which kind of make B-tier games. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So there are definitely some graphical concessions made within Split Fiction, and I actually admire the concessions. I feel like there's a certain cleanness to the graphics that I really appreciate. I feel like a lot of games nowadays, they cram in so much detail that it kind of hurts the performance in many ways. Case in point, I'm playing Monster Hunter. Sometimes it can slow down because it's just too much going on. So it's a breath of fresh air to play something very clean, very concise in its visuals. To piggyback off of that, I actually really like how the characters look in Split Fiction. Yes, they're a bit stylized, they're not as realistic looking as, say, Horizon Zero Dawn, but their personalities really come across within their animation, and I appreciate that. When a character like Mio feels frustrated, I can see it on her face, and it's illustrated so well that even my 9-year-old picked up on it, which is really good. Zoe being bubbly and fun, I think she's also animated well. Her expressions come off as being that jolly person who has something to hide. So one of the things that I look for when I'm playing is how my daughter is reacting to what's going on screen. Because if she's like immersed, because children are super honest, they have no filter. They would tell you the truth straight up. So if the game sucks, she is more likely to say it than me, and she had a really good time. So the fact that she was really pulled into Split Fiction while we were playing, it speaks volume. This is an excellent game to sit down on the couch and play split screen, even though I am not a big fan of split screen because I am a pixel hog. I like big screens. I paint on a big screen. So yeah, pixels are a lot to me. And to sacrifice half of that for another player, nah, you gotta be doing something very special. That leads me on to the next thing that I like about Split Fiction's visuals. The seamless transition between the split screen and the non-split screen. There are many instances within Split Fiction where you're playing and in the matter of a few seconds, the screen comes together in a lot of creative ways, mind you. It's so seamless and fluid that it never ever really takes you out of the experience. And that's one of the things I also noticed in their previous games as well. But I feel like Split Fiction does it just a little bit better. I think they're getting really good at the seamless transition between the split and bringing the screens together to have one experience. It is so amazing when you are playing and you're doing separate things in separate screens, and then the game just pushes you or funnels you into one screen and you're still doing whatever action or gameplay element that the designers intended. I think it's fantastic. So because of the previous point, the concessions that are made with the graphics, I feel like that adds into the fluidity of that transition, and I think it's brilliant. The game runs so smooth. It runs so smooth. And it looks really good. It looks really good. Now, again, it's not gonna have the graphics of many other games, but for what it's set out to do, I think it definitely accomplishes that tenfold. So, the last and final thing that I really like about the visuals within Split Fiction. Art word incoming. The juxtaposition, I haven't used that word in a long time. The juxtaposition of sci-fi and fantasy. Two of the most overused genres ever in anything, whether it be books, movies, TV shows, or games. Fantasy and sci-fi, I feel like I've seen, especially fantasy. Fantasy, I feel like it's to the point where in my younger age, predominantly my 20s, I kind of shied away from a lot of the fantasy stuff, right? But after a while, you kind of just get used to it, and you kind of just accept the fact that, okay, fantasy is here to stay. We'll forever have fantasy games. We'll forever have the dragons, the orcs, the elves, the gnomes. We'll forever have the magical stuff, right? And luckily, we have a lot of games that surpass the genre, in my opinion. So the genre ends up being a backdrop to telling some brilliant stories, right? Case in point, I'm still in Act 1 of Baldur's Gate, and I am 96 hours into this masterpiece of a game, and I cannot get enough. I play it portably, I play it downstairs, and even though it's fantasy, I am still 100% hooked within Baldur's Gate. Same thing with Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi has been used over and over and over. My favorite series of all time is the Mass Effect series. I have Mass Effect all around me, right? And I've played Mass Effect ad nauseum. I've probably played each game probably 6 times or so. And I must admit, it is also an overused genre, right? So in split fiction, the fact that they're combining those, they're taking that criticism and they're combining it to give us something fresh, I admire that. And in fact, I wish that more games will kind of dabble with both sci-fi and fantasy, because I feel like by doing that, you can probably make a new genre, right? Like, I don't think we have to separate both of them like that. And I like the fact that this studio brought both of them together and questioned how often we see these tropes in these games, right? And in our entertainment. And I think it's a very valid question. That's a very valid question, because every time I see a fantasy or a sci-fi, there's a little part of me that kind of rolls my eyes and say, okay, here we go again with the spaceships and the dragons and the this and the that. And I know you got people out there that love fantasy to the point where they cosplay as wizards and knights and all that. And on the flip side, you have a lot of sci-fi heads, you know, like the Star Wars guys. Those guys are serious, man. They're serious about the sci-fi. And I can't fault them for that, because you like what you like, right? I just happen to kind of fall in the middle. And honestly, the cool thing about split fiction that I really admire is the fact that they kind of go beyond the sci-fi and fantasy, and they do a lot of little quirky stuff that I did not expect, especially in the bonus side stories within the game. Some of them, I really appreciate it, because they get very creative in ways that I would have never thought of, that are just kind of weird, kind of like, you know, Rick and Morty way. And I really appreciate that, because I didn't see it coming in this game for some weird reason. Now, I must admit, I was on media blackout ever since the first trailer, because I know I wanted to play it with my kids. So yeah, it was a big surprise to me. So overall, this game is a good game. It's a good game, especially because I feel like the whole split screen thing is kind of becoming a lost form. And I think that's why the studio will forever conquer with their games, because not a lot of people are using split screen anymore. When I was growing up, split screen was very common. It was as common as online gaming. But because of online gaming, we've seen split screen kind of go to the wayside and fall by the wayside. Now, I must admit, again, I am a pixel hog. I like big screens. I like playing on big screens. So I am kind of against the split screen, but when it's utilized in such a way that makes it very creative, I can really, really get behind it, and I can really appreciate it. And I feel like this studio, I think they're gonna go on to bigger and better things. I wouldn't be surprised if they make some kind of RPG, because, you know, that's my genre. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if they make some kind of RPG that has this split screen mechanic as a staple within the game. I think there's some really creative things they can do instead of just the action game. Even though they're very good at the action, there's a lot of really cool parts, a lot of cool things they do in this game, and I don't want to spoil it, so I'm trying not to go into too much detail, because I feel like if you don't know, you're gonna appreciate it more when you actually play it with whoever you play it with. As a resident of the fantasy genre, I must say we have the best games. We have Baldur's Gate, we have Skyrim, we have Oblivion, we have many, many games. Our franchise, our genre is not overused. In fact, we have the coolest shit in the game. Unlike what Jabu and Spit Fiction is saying, fantasy is not overused. We have dragons, we have elves, we have fairies, we have orcs, we have wands, we have swords, we have shields, we have hobbits, we have dwarves, we have fairies, we have dragons, we have griffins, we have tomes, we have trees. Sci-fi people don't even have green. We have green, plenty of green. We are the best genre that has not been overused. We have things that existed thousands and thousands of years before sci-fi. So these sci-fi dorks have nothing on us fantasy aficionados. Fantasy wins every time, forever. Those fantasy twerps have nothing on us. We got guns, hella guns. We got bombs, we got ammunition. All of the games, all of the movie genres. We got Star Wars, we got Mass Effect, we got more Star Wars, and hopefully more Mass Effect. These fantasy guys, they think they could just come in with their history, with their token, and just steamroll our technology. Never. We got droids, we got robots, we got teleporters, we got holographic communications to the point where we don't even need cell phones. Sci-fi is the place to be. It's the place to be. Don't let these fantasy dorks fool you with Baldur's Gate. That game is too damn long and too damn good. Play Mass Effect over and over and over. Get multiple endings. Don't play The Witcher. That's also fantasy adjacent. We don't need that. We need more aliens, less fairies. Sci-fi for the win, always. To infinity and beyond. This helmet is too damn heavy, especially for those with locks. So, for those of you who have no idea who I am, my name is Jabulani Hori, artist extraordinaire, and I love to talk about the visuals in games. The work you see being made over here is a painting that I have been working on for weeks, probably months at this point, and I will not finish it until I know it's good and ready. I have a lot of things I want to add to make it look great. You can check out all my work on my website, jahbu.com. If you're interested in seeing more of the art side of things, you can head over to Instagram. I am just jahbu_art. So yeah. So until next week, seek other genres. Don't listen to these two maniacs, the sci-fi guy and the fantasy guy. Play other stuff. We should just all play Animal Crossing and call it a day. Anyway, my wonderful, beautiful people, one love. Peace.